Hello, dear story lovers. At the amount of 1,000 subscribers, I will post a huge series of special stories for you. Subscribe now. The Odyssey glided silently through the vastness of space, its sleek silver hull reflecting the faint light of distant stars. Captain Layla Singh sat in the command chair, her sharp eyes scanning the navigation displays. The Zoloria system was infamous among spacefarers, a chaotic graveyard of asteroid belts and debris that promised immense rewards for those bold enough to traverse it. Rare minerals and forgotten relics from ancient civilizations lay scattered among the celestial rocks, waiting to be claimed. "Captain," came the voice of Lieutenant Kira Valen from the sensor station, "I'm picking up an anomalous biosignal on asteroid AX7. It's faint but consistent. Definitely not human." Layla leaned forward. "Biosignal? In this wasteland? Could it be a trapped surveyor?" Kira shook her head. "Unlikely. The signatures. Unusual. It doesn't match any known species in the Galactic database." Dr. Jonas Mbeke, the ship's bioengineer, joined the conversation over comms from the mid-bay. "Captain, if it's alive out there, it won't stay that way for long. Radiation levels in the area are spiking." Layla made her decision quickly. "Prepare an away team. Lieutenant Valen, you're with me. Dr. Mbeke, meet us at the shuttle." The small exploration craft detached from the Odyssey and navigated its way toward the icy asteroid. The surface was jagged, glittering under the dim glow of Zoloria's dying sun. The biosignal led them to a small crevice, where a faint glow pulsed like a heartbeat. "Over here!" Kira shouted, pointing to a pocket of ice. As Layla approached, her breath caught. Trapped in the frozen cavern was a creature unlike anything she had ever seen. Its body was no larger than a house cat, covered in shimmering, iridescent scales that reflected the colors of the cosmos. A pair of delicate wings lay folded against its back, but one was bent at an unnatural angle, clearly broken. Large, soulful eyes blinked up at her, filled with both fear and exhaustion. "It's a dragon," Kira whispered, awestruck. Dr. Mbeke knelt beside the creature, running his scanner over it. "This isn't just any dragon. Its biology is extraordinary. Part organic, part crystalline. Captain, this is no ordinary life form. It's been engineered possibly by an advanced civilization." Layla's communicator buzzed. "Captain, radiation levels are rising fast," the voice of her pilot warned. "We need to get off this rock now." "Understood." "Mbeke, can it survive transport?" Layla asked. "With care, yes," he replied, carefully wrapping the small dragon in an insulated blanket. The creature gave a soft, plaintive chirp but did not resist. Back aboard the Odyssey, the crew worked quickly to stabilize their unexpected passenger. Dr. Mbeke set up a containment field in the biolab, ensuring the dragon's safety and isolating it from the rest of the ship's systems. He began tending to its broken wing, his hand steady but his mind racing with questions. Where had it come from? Why was it alone? Meanwhile, the bridge was abuzz with speculation. An abandoned baby dragon in an asteroid belt? Kira said, shaking her head. That's not something you see every day. It's more than that, Layla said, staring out the viewport at the swirling expanse of Zoloria. Someone or something left it there. And we need to find out why. As the Odyssey sped away from the asteroid, Stella named the crew would soon give their strange new companion slept fitfully in its enclosure. Its broken wing twitched, and its iridescent scales flickered faintly. Something about the creature filled Layla with a sense of foreboding and wonder. Little did she know, the discovery was about to set the Odyssey on a path that would change the fate of the galaxy. After the incident, Stellar became a source of fascination for the entire crew. The dragon began to grow more comfortable with its surroundings, chirping softly and nuzzling the crew members who visited the lab. Despite its small size, it displayed remarkable intelligence. It seemed to understand their words and gestures, often responding with a series of melodic tones that the crew likened to singing. But not all was serene. Stellar's powers were not without cost. The creature's energy fluctuations occasionally interfered with the ship's systems, causing minor disruptions to navigation and communications. M'Beak theorized that Stellar's abilities were tied to its emotional state, which in turn influenced its control over energy. "It's like a child," he explained. "It's still learning how to use its abilities. The question is, how much potential does it have? And where did it learn this?" Clues from the past. Layla spent hours reviewing the logs and scans from the asteroid where they had found Stellar. Among the fragments of ice and rock, she uncovered faint traces of an artificial signal, heavily encrypted and centuries old. She shared the findings with M'Beak and Valen. "This signal could be a clue," she said. "It's possible that Stellar was left there deliberately. But why abandon such a valuable creature?" M'Beak nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe it wasn't abandoned. It could have been hidden, protected. And if that's the case, someone might come looking for it." The captain's eyes darkened. "We need to stay vigilant. If Stellar is as unique as we think, there's no telling who or what might want to claim it." A bond is forged. One quiet evening, Layla visited the lab alone. She found Stellar awake, its luminous eyes watching her with an almost unsettling intensity. Tentatively, she reached out a hand. The dragon hesitated for a moment before placing its head under her palm. Its scales were warm, vibrating faintly with energy. "You're full of secrets, aren't you?" she whispered. Stellar chirped softly in response, a sound that resonated deep within her. In that moment, Layla felt an unspoken connection with the creature, a sense that it wasn't just a stray life form but a being with purpose, a piece of a greater mystery waiting to unfold. As she left the lab, Layla's mind raced with possibilities. She had no idea that their discovery would soon place them in the crosshairs of a relentless enemy and lead them to revelations that would alter the course of the galaxy forever. The Odyssey drifted silently in the calm expanse of space as Stellar, the crew's newfound companion, lay curled in the containment field. Over the days, the baby dragon's wing had begun to heal, but its presence aboard the ship raised more questions than answers. Dr. M'Beak spent hours in the lab, running scans and analyzing Stellar's unique physiology. Its scales, which shimmered with hues of violet and emerald, seemed to be more than just a protective covering. They absorbed ambient energy from the ship's systems, storing and redirecting it in ways that defied conventional biology. Its broken wing, though delicate and organic in structure, contained fine crystalline threads that emitted faint pulses of light. "Captain, I've never seen anything like this," Beak said during a meeting in the briefing room. Holograms of Stellar's anatomy flickered above the table, illustrating his findings. "This creature's body is a perfect blend of organic and synthetic elements. The crystalline structures are akin to solar cells, capable of harnessing energy at an astonishing rate." Layla frowned, leaning forward. "Are you saying it's a machine?" "Not exactly," M'Beak replied, shaking his head. "It's alive, very much so, but engineered with technologies far beyond anything in the Galactic database. Whoever created this creature had an understanding of bioengineering that surpasses even our most advanced capabilities." The revelation left the room in stunned silence. A new ability unveiled one evening. As the Odyssey traversed the edge of the Zaloria Nebula, Stellar exhibited its first extraordinary ability. The ship encountered an unexpected solar flare, a rogue burst of energy that threatened to overwhelm the shields. Warning alarms blared across the ship as the crew scrambled to reinforce the ship's defenses. "Shields are at critical levels," shouted Lieutenant Valen. "If this flare hits, we'll lose power and drift into the nebula." In the chaos, Stellar began to glow. Its scales pulsed with an intense light, casting the biolab in a brilliant, ethereal glow. Without warning, a wave of energy radiated outward, enveloping the entire ship. The shields, which had been on the verge of collapse, stabilized, their readings spiking to unprecedented levels. On the bridge, the crew watched in astonishment as the solar flare passed by harmlessly, deflected by the energy field surrounding the ship. What just happened? Layla demanded. It's stellar, Beak said over the comms, his voice tinged with awe. The creature absorbed the energy from the flare and redirected it to our shields. It's as if it knew exactly what we needed. An intriguing connection. The Odyssey cruised through the edge of the Zaloria Nebula, the stars around it faintly shimmering through the cosmic haze. Stellar, now a beloved part of the crew, continued to amaze with its growing abilities. However, their peaceful journey was short-lived. An intercepted signal Lieutenant Valen was at her station, monitoring the ship's communication array, when a red light flashed on her console. "Captain," she called, her voice tense, "I'm picking up an unusual signal. It's encrypted, but I think it's bouncing off our data transmission logs." Layla strode over. "Are you saying someone is eavesdropping on us?" Valen nodded. "I can't pinpoint the origin, but whoever it is, they're listening in. They're using old Corsair Syndicate encryption codes." The Corsair Syndicate. The name sent a chill through the bridge. Known for their ruthless pursuit of power and wealth, the Syndicate was infamous for seizing rare artifacts, creatures, and technologies to sell or weaponize. If they were aware of Stellar's existence, the Odyssey was in grave danger. The chase begins hours later. The ship's sensors detected multiple vessels closing in fast. They were sleek and heavily armed Corsair interceptors. "Shields up," Layla ordered. "Valen, plot a course into the nebula. If they want to catch us, they'll have to deal with Zaloria's gravitational distortions." The Odyssey plunged into the nebula of haze, where swirling clouds of charged particles distorted sensors and made navigation treacherous. Behind them, the Corsair ships followed, their weapons locking onto the Odyssey's faint energy signature. The first salvo hit their aft shields, jolting the ship. On the bridge, the crew scrambled to maintain control. "Evasive maneuvers," Layla barked. "Keep us moving through the densest parts of the nebula." As the Odyssey weaved through the maelstrom, Stellar began to react. In the biolab, its scales glowed with an intense light, and it emitted a series of melodic tones that resonated throughout the ship. Dr. Beak observed the creature with a mixture of awe and concern. "It's sensing the danger. I think it's trying to help." Stellar's intervention as the Corsair ships closed the distance, Stellar's glow intensified, its tones growing louder and more harmonious. Suddenly, the Odyssey systems began to respond. The shields, which had been failing under the Syndicate's assault, surged with new energy. Pulses of radiant light extended outward, disrupting the Corsair ship's targeting systems. "Captain," Valen said, staring at her console in disbelief, "Stellar's creating an energy field around us. It's scrambling their sensors and boosting our defenses." "Then let's use it," Layla said, a determined edge in her voice. "Valen, find us a way out of here." The Odyssey banked hard, diving deeper into the nebula. Stellar's energy field continued to confound their pursuers, causing two Corsair ships to collide with drifting debris. But the remaining vessels adapted quickly, firing blindly into the nebula in a desperate attempt to disable the Odyssey. One shot grazed the ship, sending a shudder through the hull. Sparks flew from the bridge consoles as alarms blared. "We can't keep this up, Captain," Valen shouted. "We need an escape route." "Working on it," Layla replied, her mind racing. The leap of faith. As the Odyssey approached the nebula's core, the gravitational distortions grew stronger, pulling at the ship and threatening to tear it apart. Stellar's glow dimmed slightly, its energy reserves seemingly taxed by the constant strain. Beak's voice came over the comms. "Captain, Stellar can't maintain the field much longer. If we're going to escape, it has to be now." Layla's hands tightened around the controls. "Valen, do we have enough power for a short-range jump?" Valen hesitated. "Barely. But with the gravitational distortions, there's no telling where we'll end up. Better than being caught by the Syndicate." prepare for the jump. Everyone, hold on. The Odyssey activated its jump drive, the engines roaring as the ship was hurled through the nebula's distorted spacetime. Behind them, the Corsair ships were left floundering in the chaos, unable to follow. When the Odyssey emerged from the jump, the crew found themselves in an unfamiliar star system. The stars were brighter, and the surrounding space was a stark contrast to the chaos of the nebula. A moment of respite. The bridge was silent for a moment as the crew processed their escape. Then a cheer erupted, a wave of relief washing over them. Layla turned to Valen. Status report? Shields are holding. Engines are running hot but stable. No sign of the Corsairs, Valen replied, a small smile breaking through her usual stoicism. In the biolab, Stella chirped softly, its glow dim but steady. Beak crouched beside it, gently stroking its scales. You did it, little one, he murmured. You saved us. The unseen threat. As the crew celebrated their narrow escape, Layla couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The Corsairs had been relentless, and it was only a matter of time before they regrouped. Worse, the encrypted signal on the asteroid suggested that someone or something had deliberately left Stellar to be found. Whoever created this creature didn't abandon it without a reason, she said, staring out at the unfamiliar stars. And now, we've painted a target on our backs. As the Odyssey began repairs and plotted their next course, Layla knew one thing for certain: Stellar's existence was far more significant than they had imagined. Their discovery had set forces into motion that could reshape the galaxy or destroy it. The Odyssey drifted in the calm void of the unknown star system, its hull scorched and systems strained from their escape through the Zoloria Nebula. While the crew busied themselves with repairs, Captain Layla Singh stood on the observation deck, gazing out at Stellar, who floated weightlessly in its containment field in the biolab below. The baby dragon's soft luminescence had dimmed since the ordeal, and its melodic tones had grown faint. But there was something different now, something deeper in its gaze. A sense of purpose, of knowing. Layla could feel it, as if Stellar was reaching out to her, silently urging her forward. A mysterious message, Captain, you're going to want to see this, Lieutenant Valen called from the bridge. Layla quickly made her way up, where Valen pointed at the comms console. We intercepted a signal. It's not Corsair. It's ancient. Layla's eyes narrowed. The transmission was garbled but persistent, and its origin was impossibly distant, beyond the known galaxy. Run it through decryption. As the signal cleared, a holographic projection emerged in the center of the bridge. A figure, cloaked in shimmering light, spoke in an unfamiliar yet hauntingly melodic language. The universal translator struggled for a moment before resolving the words. To those who find the Starborn, you hold the key to the preservation of balance. The Starborn were created to safeguard the nexus of realms, but they were hunted and scattered. Protect them, for they are the last defense against the fracture. The message looped, repeating its cryptic plea. What's the nexus of realms? Valen asked, frowning. And what's the fracture? Beak added, joining the discussion. Layla's mind raced. She turned to Beak. Is Stella the Starborn they're talking about? It seems likely, he replied. The abilities, the crystalline biology, it all fits. The revelation settled heavily over the bridge. Stellar wasn't just unique, it was essential to some vast, incomprehensible balance in the galaxy. And now the crew of the Odyssey was entangled in a mystery that reached far beyond anything they had imagined. The Council of United Planets, realizing the weight of the situation, Layla made a bold decision. The Odyssey would set course for the core worlds of the Council of United Planets, the central governing body of the galaxy. If Stellar truly held such significance, they needed the Council's resources and protection. As the Odyssey approached the massive Council station orbiting the luminous planet Arctera Prime, Layla prepared her case. Stellar was placed in a specialized containment field, not for imprisonment but to ensure its safety during the journey. The little dragon chirped softly, sensing the tension among the crew. Inside the council chambers, Layla presented Stellar to an assembly of ambassadors, scientists, and leaders. The room erupted into murmurs and debates as Stellar's abilities were demonstrated. Holograms of the ancient message were displayed, and Dr. Mbeek detailed the creature's unique biology. "This creature, Stellar, is more than a biological anomaly," Layla said, her voice steady but firm. "It represents something far greater, a connection to an ancient civilization and a warning of a galactic threat. If the message is to be believed, Stellar is a protector, but it cannot fulfill that role alone." The council was divided. Some viewed Stellar as a treasure to be studied and preserved, others feared the danger it could bring, especially with the Corsair Syndicate already on its trail. A dangerous revelation. As debates raged on, the council's chief archivist, an elderly avian named Tlora, approached Layla privately. "Captain Singh, there is something you must know," Tlora said in a hushed tone, leading her to a secure vault beneath the chambers. Inside, ancient relics and records from the lost civilizations of the galaxy were stored. Tlora activated a projection, showing fragmented records of the Nexus of Realms, a network of interdimensional gateways that connected not just worlds but realities. Long ago, the Starborn were created by a forgotten race to protect these gateways from collapse. The fracture, Tlora explained, is a phenomenon that occurs when these gateways destabilize. It tears the fabric of existence itself. The Starborn were the only beings capable of repairing the fractures, but they were hunted to extinction by those who sought to control the gateways for their own power. "Stellar is one of the last," Layla said, her voice barely above a whisper. Tlora nodded gravely. "Protect it, Captain. If the fracture is returning, the galaxy will need the Starborn more than ever." The final stand. The council's deliberations were interrupted by a sudden alert. Corsair Syndicate ships had breached the perimeter of Arcterra Prime. They had tracked the Odyssey and were now demanding Stellar's surrender. Layla rushed back to the ship, rallying her crew. The Odyssey, reinforced by the council's defense fleet, braced for the impending attack. As the Syndicate ships closed in, Stellar, now fully recovered, began to glow brighter than ever before. The baby dragon took flight within the containment field, its chirps turning into powerful harmonic waves. These waves resonated with the station systems, activating long-dormant energy fields that created an impenetrable barrier around Arcterra Prime. The Corsair Syndicate, realizing they were outmatched, retreated, but Layla knew this was only the beginning. Stellar's display of power had confirmed its importance, and the galaxy's darker forces would not stop their pursuit. A new mission. With the Council's backing, Layla and the crew of the Odyssey were entrusted with a critical mission to uncover the remaining Starborn, safeguard the Nexus of Realms, and prevent the fracture. Stellar, no longer a helpless orphan, now stood as a symbol of hope and unity for a galaxy on the brink. As the Odyssey left Arcterra Prime, Layla gazed out at the stars, her hand resting gently on Stellar's head. The baby dragon chirped softly, its scales shimmering with the light of 1,000 suns. "Whatever comes next," Layla said, her voice filled with determination, "we'll face it together." And with that, the Odyssey ventured into the unknown, carrying with it the last Starborn, a beacon of light in a galaxy teetering on the edge of darkness.